Sometimes you want to output a result in a cell based on some conditional statement. So for example, you want to output one result if the conditional statement is met, or another result if this conditional statement is not met. So for this we use the if function, and the if function will run a logical test between two values. So it will compare two values based on the condition that you impose. So for example, it will check if the two values are equal, or if they are not equal, or one value is greater than the other, or it is less than the other. So based on this comparison, it can output two results. The first result, if this comparison between the two values is true, or a second result if this comparison is false. Now the general syntax of an if function, so of course we start with an equal sign, then the name of the if function, and as you can see, the if function will take three arguments as an input. The first argument, called the logical test, so this will return either true or false based on the comparison between the value and what you expect. So we'll return true if this comparison is true, or will return false if this comparison is false. Now the second argument, called value if true, is the value to return when the logical test, which is the first argument, evaluates to true. So this is the value that the cell in Excel will display if the logical test return a true value. Now the third argument, which is called value if false, is the value to return when the logical test, which is the first argument, return to false. So as you can see here, we have the cell in Excel, and when we write the if function, it will have one of these two values. So it will either display the second argument, which is value if true, if the logical test return a true value, or will display the third argument if the logical test returns a false value. Now there are many types of logical tests, as you can see here in this table. So we can compare if two cells are equal to each other, or one cell is greater than the other, or greater than or equal, less than or equal, or not equal to. So you can choose any comparison operator and you can compare any two values. So let's now go to Excel and try an example. So here we have a company that pays 10% commission for all sales greater than $10,000, and for sales less than $10,000 the salesperson will not receive a bonus. So here in column A we have the names of all the salesperson, and in column B we have the total monthly sales for each person, and we need to calculate the bonus amount based on this commission criterion. So we select cell C5, type in the equal sign, then the name of the function if, open up the parentheses. So first argument is the logical test. So we need to check if the sales are greater than $10,000. That means cell here B5 greater than $10,000. So now we input the comma and we move to the second argument. So the second argument is the value to display if the logical test returns true. So if the sales are greater than $10,000, we will output the sales, so cell B5 times 10%, which is cell H3. So we select cell H3. Now we need to make sure that Excel will not change cell H3, and for this we use the absolute cell reference, and in order to use the absolute cell reference we press the F4 button on the keyboard. So you can see here we have $H3. Now we input the comma to write the third argument, and the third argument is the argument to display if the first argument returns false. That means the sales are below $10,000, and if the sales are below $10,000, so we will display a zero bonus amount. And we close the parenthesis, we hit enter, we select cell C5 and double click the autofill handle in order to fill in the numbers. So you can see here, we can double check. So for this guy we have sales $11,235, that means greater than 10,000, so we have 10% bonus. So 10% of 11,235 is 1,123.5, which is correct. And here we have sales below $10,000, so no bonus, we have zero bonus. So all the numbers here are correct. Now we can use the if function to output a text, for example, instead of a number. So let's write an if function to display a comment for each salesperson. So we select cell D5, type in the equal sign and if function, open up the parenthesis, and the logical test. So if the bonus amount is equal to 0, we will say hard luck, for example. And if the bonus amount is not equal to 0, that means the salesperson did receive a bonus, so we will say good job. Okay, so the logical test, we will say if C5 equal to 0, so no bonus, we will say, so we type in a comma, and in order to input a text we should start with a double quotation mark. So we open up the double quotation mark and say hard luck if the bonus amount is equal to 0, and we close the double quotation mark, then we type in a comma, and if it is not equal to 0, that means the salesperson did receive a bonus, we will say good job. So we open up the double quotation mark and write good job, and then close the double quotation mark and close the parenthesis. Let's hit enter. We select cell D5 and double click the autofill handle, and as you can see, for salesperson who did receive a bonus we say good job, and for salesperson who did not receive a bonus we say hard luck.